Hey, it's Neville here, and today I want to talk to you about a bunch of copywriting mistakes that newbies make all the time. You see, inside of the copywriting course, I've personally helped thousands of different people and companies change their copy to become better. We've also, in our own forum and members area, done the same thing, and we see the same mistakes over and over and over. So I'm going to go summarize a couple of those so you don't make that mistake. And another mistake you shouldn't make is not subscribing to our channel. You should definitely subscribe to our channel. You should definitely click the like button. You should definitely comment. You should definitely click the little bell thingy. And that way you'll get our updates all the time from Copywriting Course. Now, let's get started with the mistakes. Mistake number one is people put multiple CTAs on a page. A CTA is a call to action. That can be a button or some sort of action that you want people to take on a web page. Now, most people, including me in the very beginning, thought that if you just put a bunch of call to actions on a page, that people will totally click it. Wrong. Actually, what happens is they get confused and they're wondering, well, which should I click? Or am I supposed to do this? Am I supposed to do that? I don't know. So they get confused and don't do anything. So in fact, it's actually better to put a fewer amount of calls to actions that are very obvious on a web page. If you have too many calls to action, it tends to confuse the reader and make it hard to make a decision. It makes it hard for you to write a focused message, and it also hurts your conversion rates. So the solution is to make sure you pick one major CTA per page if you're selling just one product on that page. Mistake number two, people use way too many buzzwords and confuse the message. This happens a lot if you're writing copy in a big group. Let me explain. Imagine a page that says, discover synergy with career advancement specialists dedicated to your vision of a future in which you are compensated in a manner in which you deserve. Discover more. See, that sounds really cool, but it's kind of vague and it uses so many buzzwords. Instead, what if you have a web page that just says, highest paying job search. Join the #1 search site for $100,000 plus year jobs. Sign up. You see, that second one is much more simple, to the point, and everyone can understand it. Buzzwords can really kill conversions and kind of muck up your message because they're vague and confusing, and they don't really tell the reader anything about you or your business. And this means it can hurt your conversion rate. Here's a little list of buzzwords and the simpler versions that you can use. So instead of using the word substantial, just say a lot. Instead of saying due to the fact, just say because. Instead of in the event of, just say if. Instead of implement, just say start. The point is, make sure that you use a very clear non-buzzwords. So if you don't exactly know what a word means, it's probably too hard for most people to understand. And if you use a bunch of buzzwords in a row, it's just buzzwords squared, and then people just don't understand what you're talking about. Mistake number three. Some people make very busy pages with very bad layouts that are just all over the place. So look at this page. It's got products over here, click here, buy here, go here, click here, select that. It's just too much stuff. You don't exactly know what to do as the user. So instead, even though you want to show everyone everything on your page, sometimes it's better to just lead them through and show them one obvious thing to click. So a simple layout often does a lot better than a very busy, hard to read, hard to navigate layout. Now, a lot of clients will say, but we want to show everything on our site all the time for everyone, every time, so they could see it. And I'm just like, imagine that you had a physical store, like a clothing store, right? And I walk in and ask the sales representative, I'm like, I would like to view some men's shirts. And the sales representative is like, well, there's the men's shirts, but there's the women's section. And the children's section is right here. And you can actually buy shoes over there, and belt buckles are over here. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I just want to view men's shirts. So instead, in real life, the customer service rep would say, well, sir, here are the men's shirts. They'd show me one place where I should go and look at the stuff I'm interested in. So that's the kind of equivalent for a busy web page. It's just a little bit too scattershot all over the place. Whereas if you're just selling a product or two, just simply sell them to one thing. Mistake number four. New writers try to copy content from major blogs. See, some of these really big blogs and established websites can get away with putting out articles like how to start a business, how to create a website, guide to losing weight. These are big, meaty articles that someone with a lot of experience will write about. The problem is, a lot of new writers will get in the habit of just copying those types of articles, when in reality, they're not an authority on the subject just yet. So my recommendation would be to do personal stories. This is actually your secret weapon to go up against some of these larger sites. By doing personal stories, you can actually show that you know something about the subject and give like a case study for people to follow along. So for example, instead of how to start a restaurant, what if you said, how I started my restaurant with less than $9,000? Instead of how to create an e-commerce store, why don't you say, how I created my Shopify store in one weekend, and document that process? And instead of how to lose weight, why don't you say, how Bob lost 104 pounds with the one cookie diet? So instead of trying to write an expert article on a very broad article, tell personal stories from your experience or interview people about their stories. This will make for better content and better engagement, and it'll make a lot more interesting articles. Mistake number 5 is subheadings that don't guide the reader through an article. This is a big problem we see. It's kind of funny. I joke that sometimes whenever I get hired as a copywriter, most of my job is just editing the formatting of an article. That's it. So look at these subheadings over here. It says how to improve your content. And then it says subheading 1 is organization. And then it goes into organization content. Number 2 is readers, and then summary. But see, what you have to do is make an article that people can skim. Imagine that people could only read the subheadings of your articles. They should still be able to read and understand your article just based on the subheadings. Kind of like you can go through the table of contents on a book and read the chapter titles and kind of vaguely understand what the book is about. That's the same thing. So here's a better way with more useful subheadings. Imagine that same piece of content, how to improve your content, and the subheading 1 says, organize your content into clear, actionable steps. Then it goes into detail. And subheading 2 is solve a specific problems for your readers. The point is, you can go through this and instantly understand how to improve your content by just reading the subheaders. It makes it so much easier for people to read. It increases comprehension, and it just makes it more fun and understandable for everyone involved. What you should do is really aim to tell the entire story just using the subheadings so that even the lazy readers who skim the article will still get value from it. For example, you can actually take the very article that we're looking at right now and look at just the subheadings and get some idea of how to improve your copywriting. See, mistake number 3, mistake number 4, mistake number 5, mistake number 6, etc. You don't even have to read all the content, and you can actually get value out of these articles just like that. Mistake number 6. This is when people write how-to content without giving the reader clear and practical actions to take. So look at this. This is an article about how to lose weight. Step 1, eat less. Step 2, exercise more. Step 3, track your eating. Okay, that's fine and well, but the problem is how. I need to understand how. You need to give the reader actionable tips, so by the time they get done and finish reading the article, they actually have something they can go do now. So imagine this article again, and it says, step 1, eat less. And then there's an action step that says, prep your meals for the week every Sunday. Step 2, exercise more. Schedule a daily walk and gym 3x per week. And the cool thing about this, a little pro tip for you, is that you can take all these little action steps and put it together at the end of an article and create a cheat sheet that people could just skim the article and then look at that cheat sheet and either take a screenshot of or save it, or perhaps you offer it as a download in exchange for their email. So at the end of this tip number 6, I'm actually going to give you an action tip. And that is, whenever you're creating content like that's how-to content, make sure you put an action tip at the end of each section. Mistake number 7, and we see this one quite a bit from people sending cold emails. They make these awkward cold emails with really bad introductions. So don't make bad introductions. So look at this email. It says, hi Bob, do you want to make tons of money? If you don't act right now, you'll never get my special secrets. Click the link to buy now. This is really scammy and really annoying and tends not to work that well. If it worked well, I'd tell you, but I've seen a lot of people do this. It doesn't work well. Instead, a great cold email will convey a lot of information, or at least get straight to the point and save everyone a lot of time. So it says, hi Bob, I saw your profile on LinkedIn and wanted to reach out. I help Shopify stores like big brands ABC double their sales with emails. If you'd like to talk about your store strategy, hit reply and let me know your name. So this is a lot better intro. It has more clear value for the recipient. and it doesn't turn people off immediately by being scammy and pushy. So a great cold email will be concise as possible. It will almost be like you're having a friendly, casual conversation with a stranger at a bar or a cafe. It will also aim to offer a simple and obvious value up front, and it won't engage in a wild sales pitch. Mistake number 8. Now, this one is a little bit reminiscent of mistake number 1, which is web pages with too many CTAs. But I also want to reiterate that emails with too many CTAs, calls to action, can be a bad thing. Now, I get a lot of flack for this because a lot of people are like, well, what if it's a newsletter and you have a bunch of different things? Well, in that case, it's okay. But if you're trying to sell one product in an email, don't have a million different things they can click or a million different links. Just give them one major one. So for example, this email says, Dear Bob, read this, check this out, shop now, book a call. Which one do you click? There's too many choices. Instead, what if you say, Dear Bob, explain the product, and then have a big buy now button or a buy now link? People are far more likely to click that single button rather than like a bunch of different links that they're confused about. So if you add too many CTAs, it tends to dilute your conversion. So once a reader clicks a link, they're really unlikely to go back to the email and click the other links. Sometimes it ends up sounding a little confusing. Read this, click that, buy this. Like, what's the point if you're just going to confuse the reader? So I would encourage you, if you're selling a single product or want them to take a single action, have a very clear call to action, perhaps just 1, 2, or 3, but not like a million of them just all around the email. And then finally, mistake number 9. This is when people overthink their email style plus format. I can't tell you how many clients I get, especially larger companies, that spend so much time on the formatting of their email like it matters a lot. I know that all the email services out there want to sell you a million templates, and that's because that's what sells. It sounds cool when you get like 3,000 different email templates. Let me tell you what works the best. Plain old email, down the middle, that's it. And another thing, a lot of email services have begun clipping emails if they're too long. But wait, it's not because they're too long, it's because your HTML is too long. So if you have too much HTML formatting in your email template, your email could get clipped maybe at just 2 or 3 pages. I've seen this with so many clients. So what we'll do is we'll use the basic email template that a lot of email services have and just build off of that. And then they're allowed to send emails that are 10 plus pages because they don't have all that source code in the background with the HTML. But here's the main thing with mistake number 9. People overthink their email style too much because they think they only get one shot at it. So actually what we teach like inside the copywriting course is we always write 3 different versions of an email. We start with a really long email. And just remember, it's just a draft. We're not really sending it out just yet. So we start with a really long email trying to sell a product. Then what we do is we take our little caveman voice and we go, oh, this sucks, this is boring. And we start chopping out different parts of that email and we make it into a medium-sized email. And then what we do is we get even more strict with our caveman voice and go, this stuff, I don't know what this means, blah, blah, blah. And we cross out even more stuff and we make a really short email. So that way we now have one email with 3 different sizes. And then we simply test which one does better. The weird thing is, if you're trying to get clicks, it's usually almost always the short one, hint, but then the medium ones and the long ones often will sell a lot better. In fact, on this channel, we've done live tests where we write really short emails versus a really long one. And the short email definitely gets higher clicks, higher click-through rates, higher open rates, but the long emails will often get higher sales numbers. So if you have been overthinking how long your email should be, what I would suggest is first write a very long one. You could write whatever you want in there, then trim it down to a medium, then trim it down to a really short one, and then you can test that out. Well, anyways, those are 9 of the most common content and email mistakes that we see all the time, and hopefully you can avoid making them too. If you want some personalized help from myself and other copywriting coaches inside the Copywriting Course members area, all you have to do is subscribe and you get unlimited access to my brain and other brains and the community's brain to help you write different things. So if you are unsure of an email, you could post it in our special behind the scenes forum that only members have access to, so it's private. And then we'll go and actually punch up and often just rewrite the whole dang thing. So not only do you get all the training videos that we have, but you also get live actual help from professional copywriters that go through and improve your results on your own copywriting. So hopefully we see you inside. I hope you like, rate, subscribe, and tell us that you really like this video, and I will talk to you later.